Diego, what are 3 ways that horse owners can be a really good client to their farrier?
They have to have horses that behave, they have to have a place for us to work, and they have to pay their bills.
Okay, that's pretty straightforward. So tell me a little bit more about having a good place for you to work on their horse's feet.
Well, we don't need anything fancy. We just need a place that's out of the weather, especially here in Montana, out of the 100-degree weather in the summer, and out of the wind and snow in the winters.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like a fairly flat ground, clean, and no dogs around, and it doesn't have to be a fancy facility. It just has to be appropriate and safe.
Okay. And I would imagine you don't want stuff in the way, like farm equipment or things that the horses
No, because we need to be able to get out of the way fast if we have to. If the horse reacts for whatever reason, we should be able to get out of the way if something happens.
Okay.
It's safe for everybody.
Is lighting important?
It is very important, yes. It's hard to do a good job if you can't see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Even though horseshoeing's got a lot to do with feel, but it's always good to have light and power.
Yeah. Right. So when it comes to horses standing, that is a big can of worms. I'm a horse owner. I'm not a farrier, but I personally believe that it's the horse owner's responsibility to prepare their horse to stand safely for their farrier as well as their veterinarian. Farriers and vets, I would imagine you have to have horsemanship skills, but you don't want to have to spend the first part of your time with that client's horse training that horse to stand safely. Am I thinking about that correctly?
Yes, but the problem is when people think about horse training, they think about horse riding. And a lot of times you have horses, they'll ride very well, but they have no ground manners. And to me it's bad training. Like, I don't care what kind of trainer you are, but if your horses don't behave, you're just not a very good one. Of course, you're gonna have some horses here and there that kind of fall out of that spectrum, but for the most part, horses should be able to behave. They did years ago. I don't know why they don't do it now.
Mm-hmm. So regardless of discipline, you could have a high-level dressage horse, or you could have a working ranch horse. Regardless, the expectation is the same, that horse is quiet and respectful and knows how to stand.
Yes, and I always say that you have, if you control your horse's feet and this horse respects the halter, then half of the battle is already won.
Right.
And a lot of times you have horses they're not very respectful. They're not very respectful on the ground, and then then the farriers show up or the veterinarians show up, and those horses are not accustomed to being tied. They have no patience. They're just used to being on cross ties for 15 minutes while they get maybe half brushed and tacked on, and then we show up and expect those horses to stand there for 45 minutes to an hour, and those horses, they just don't know how to do it.
Mentally, the horses get a little fried before you're done because They're not used to having to stand for a longer period of time.
Yes.
So would you say that it reminds me of trailer loading, right? Like a good horseman, a good horsewoman isn't going to wait until the day they need to get on the trailer and go to the horse show, and there's the added pressure of time to practice trailer loading. Ideally, you're working on groundwork and horsemanship skills to set you up for trailer loading every single day, and then you're practicing getting on and off the trailer when there isn't that added pressure of time. So I would imagine that it kind of goes the same way. Like, horse owners should probably be tying their horses and asking them to kind of gradually get more mentally fit about standing. And that way we're really setting them up for success so that they know how to be patient when it comes to farrier work.
Yeah, and then the problem that I see is that a lot of times people focus too much on trying to get their horses to pick their feet up for the farrier. And then I think picking the feet up is just a secondary issue.
Okay.
For horses, they behave, with a halter, if they're respectful of your space, they're respectful of you, they will. And then if they're okay with you touching them all over, like most of the time, it's just a natural occurrence. They will behave when you pick their feet up because they're just tamed enough to do that. You know, and then there's a big difference between teaching a horse how to pick its foot up and teaching a horse how to hold its foot up.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times people will say, "Oh no, my horse pick his foot up," you know, but they just pick it up and down. But we show up there and then we hold it. We put, you know, foot between our legs, you know, and we bring the foot forward, put it on stands, you know, and then we rasp it. You know, there's the concussion element, there's the vibration element, there's, you know, the heat when you burn shoes on. So there's a series of things that horse owners are not able to do that with their horses, but they don't need to do that if they do their part, which is just to teach these horses to be respectful. And then and I think that's what we're lacking right now, and it's just impossible to do a good job, you know, when all you're thinking about is how not to get hurt. You know, because at the end of the day, if we get hurt, we can't work. You know, people will always find different farriers, but to me, you know, and I don't work on very many bad horses anymore, you know, and some people say, oh, you know, just a prima donna and things like that. It's just because we can't afford getting hurt, you know, and it's a very frustrating feeling because you spend countless hours practicing and studying, and all you want to do a good job, you know, and then you show up to a stop, then you have a horse that just doesn't behave, you know, and then you just feel, at least me, I feel embarrassed with myself because I couldn't do my best because that horse didn't allow me to do my best, you know, and it's just a very, very frustrating feeling.
Yeah, I work in the horse industry too. I'm not a horse shoer, but you know, the really great thing for all of us that are part of the industry is that there's been a bit of a rebound when it comes to horse ownership. Actually, the pandemic is, the data is showing that more people are buying horses and participating in horse activities, which is a really good thing for the industry. But I also think, you know, equine professionals are acutely aware that folks who are new to horse ownership just don't necessarily have that depth of knowledge when it comes to horsemanship. And you know, I see it among my peers and my friends who are newer getting into horses. And I guess a message I would love to have for helping keep all of these people safe, keep horseshoers safe, but also for the benefit of the horses, is that, you know, you can't, at least for me personally, I don't think you can overstate the importance of very basic groundwork and being a good leader for your horse. And being a good leader for your horse, in my opinion, means not babying them, not treating them like, you know, a human child or a cute little dog that you're going to stick in your purse, but treating them like a horse and having good, clear communication. And would you say that's something that you struggle with when you see how horse owners are interacting with their horses?
Yeah, because I think people focus too much on having horses, people focus too much on trying to get these horses to like them. And then I think horses will like you if you teach them structure. Horses like structure. They're structure animals by nature. That's why they're pack animals, right? That's why the leader of the herd provides that structure that tells them where to go, tells them where to graze, tells them, you know. And
that's what keeps them safe.
That's what keeps them safe. And then when you give horses too many choices, they're not able to do that because they don't know how to do that. And then they became these very unruly animals.
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't mean that horses, I don't mean it that mean, when I want to try to hurt you, because horses are naturally kind animals. But they just don't understand their boundaries. And now you're talking about a 1,200-pound animal that has no boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, when people call and say, oh, I have a hard time finding a horseshoer, that's the first thing that comes to mind, you know, because nobody shoes horses. I mean, it's a livelihood and then we get paid for it, but there is there's a much deeper connection with the trade that becomes your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make way more money doing other things than shoeing horses. So people that shoe horses, they do that because they truly love the trade, you know. And then when you have somebody that has a hard time finding a farrier, most of the times it's because either the horses are not very good to work on, maybe they don't pay, you know, or the place that you have to shoe, that you have to work it's not very conducive to safety, or it's just, you know, it's just not a very good place to be.
Yeah.
And then that's why most of the times farriers don't want to take on these types of clients.
Well, great. This has been really interesting and hopefully helpful to horse owners out there, whether you're new to horses or you've been in it for a long time. I think it's always good to hear from the farrier's perspective, and maybe all of us, myself included, can take away some information to help us be really good clients to our horseshoers. Thank you so much.
Yeah.